Hey Nakamas, today I want to go through 7 anime that's really popular in Japan, but not really popular in America. So because I was born and raised in Japan, I feel like these certain animes deserve more respect in America and the West. So I know that most of you might know this, but it's definitely not popular or gets the right praise it deserves in the West. So let's go through them. So it might be some like trailer-esque spoilers, so watch out. First one is Gintama. Gintama is definitely my personal favorite. And I think Gintama is totally underrated in America, and I have a few reasons why. I think the first reason is it doesn't follow the shonen arc or shonen anime. One of the main characters, Gintoki, already completed his training arc or even his war arc in a sense, because essentially from the first episode, Japan is taken over by aliens and the main character Gintoki fought in the war to prevent or keep the independence of the Edo period of Japan, but he lost, and that's where the episode 1 takes place. So then if that personal growth is gone, you might think, why would I watch this main character? You know, he lost. He lost. But it's precisely because personal growth is not the main focus. The main focus becomes his relationship with other people, starting from his team members like Kagura and Shinpachi. But then it grows into bigger town characters, and instead of the personal growth, it's the growth with other relationships that he goes through that the main focus point of the show is. And with that in mind, Gintama has sort of 2 arcs, and I don't mean specific arcs, like general arcs. One is like the serious arc, and then one is the comedy arc. Especially in the beginning, it's mostly comedy arc, and you might think it's boring. You're like, I came to see some action, some samurais killing aliens or each other. But then you have to realize, like I just mentioned, the whole point is his growth through his relationship. The comedy arc allows for those growth to happen. Because they could laugh through and spend some time together, they're able to form a bond, and it's actually quite nice to see. And it's actually genuinely funny. You might not be able to understand certain Japanese like current event jokes, but overall you would find it funny. They would push the boundaries of comedies too, so you might not like it, but for me, I really did enjoy it. And then, because of the comedy arcs and the time it took for them to form a relationship with each other, when the serious arcs come where they literally have to kill the enemy or they're going to kill them, it's a lot more thought-provoking. It's a lot more thrilling because you see the reasons why they're fighting so hard, clearly, from the comedy arc that you, the watcher, have spent. So I think the main idea is like the reason they go so ham to, fight and protect this nakama is because he wants to preserve the peace and happiness that are seen through the comedy arc. So definitely go through it. I know it's long, but it was a huge journey that taught me a lot about life. Number 2, I think is underrated, is Hunter x Hunter. Hunter x Hunter, I know there is some following in the US or the West, but I think it deserves way more praise. Again, like Gintama, it doesn't follow the shonen arc. It follows more than Gintama, but it doesn't follow it as cleanly per se. First of all, the moves aren't flashy like Naruto or Bleach, at least in the beginning. Like the main character literally has a fishing pole as his main weapon. Gon, Kurapika and Ryoryo, his friends, use like a stick in the beginning, like a little like baton sticks to fight. Kirua was always cool though. Kirua had always little killer energy to it. But not only that, even the training arcs, it's a lot more bizarre and a lot more death focused. People really die. I know that even in Naruto people died, but none of the characters you got to get close to die that often. It's mostly the bad guys or just sub-characters. But in Gon, decently major characters die in a pretty gruesome way. So it's definitely a lot more darker take than other shonen animes. And it's purposeful because the themes of the show also explore naivety, the dark side of greed, pride. Those things are a little bit more explored in a darker sense, and that may be putting off for some viewers, but I think that makes it a nice twist to the shonen arc. The creator is on hiatus, he's sick or something, so hopefully they could finish the show because I really like it. Number 3, less of action, and it's Violet Evergarden. Violet Evergarden only has 12 episodes. I think it's on Netflix. And 2 movies. One of them you should just not watch, but another one that's really good. So the animation is like Kyoto animation, and they make really gorgeous animation. It's one of my favorites. And it takes place in this fictional kind of historical fiction. So they use typewriters, but the main character, Violet Evergarden, has a full mechanical arm. So somehow they're still on the typewriter stage, but she gets to have a complete replica of her arm and fully functional when we don't even have it in our own modern times. Kind of like Full Metal Alchemist. Why it's good is you follow the main character, Violet, in which she was basically child trafficked into becoming a child soldier. And because of that experience, she obviously didn't have an actual childhood, but she had a tough time understanding human emotions and what it means to love someone. So the show starts with the war being over, and she is trying to find a person that she loved, kinda. She wasn't really aware that she loved, but was lost in war. But while she's waiting, she takes up a job called Alto Memory Doll, in which she kind of becomes like a scribe, basically writes letters for other people using a typewriter. And because she has to like kind of translate what other people are saying into her own typewriter and her own letter, she has to be able to get in touch with human emotions to be able to translate what they're trying to say. And from that, in the beginning, she struggles, but slowly she learns what it means to care about someone and what it means to love someone. But with that knowledge, ignorance of what she's done in the war fades away, so she goes through a lot of pain and suffering that she has killed a lot of people. But all in all, that character development is really beautiful to go through, and the animation is obviously really good, so definitely give it a shot and will give you emotional damage. Number 4 is Cowboy Bebop, a little bit older. This one's a cult classic in Japan, and I know that Netflix made an adaptation of it that sucked, so someone's got to tell Netflix to stop doing it, especially Death Note. So it's basically like it's basically a spaceship pirate crew, or more like an odd jobs group, and the main characters are Jet, Spike, Faye, Edward, and of course the little dog Ian, or Ain, I forgot, sorry. And again, I think it has a little bit of similar tone with Gintama, as in it is about the relationship more, but this one's a little bit darker because they really focus. It's shorter, it's only like 20 episodes or so. And the main focus is each character, and if they're able to overcome their past trauma, or some of them maybe if they're not even ever able to overcome their past trauma. So even though there's action pieces where they go to different planets and they experience a lot of action, fighting other guys, shooting other guy, the main focus is first you think it's on the relationship of each other, the crew, but then you realize how they're kind of passing time because they're caught up from the past. And if you want a little bit of mature take or mature anime, then definitely check out the show. Bang. So that's from like the show. So that's why I said that. Number 5, a true rom-com, is Oregairu, or My Teen Romantic Comedy is Weird. This one's super popular in Japan, and it's because it has a unique take on rom-com. I know some of you might not like it, but this one, maybe check it out. So the main character is Hachiman, and he has a cynical view of the world, school, and society. And not only is he cynical, he's justified in that he's aware and he's truthful when he speaks. And because of that, the viewer, even though he's kind of a little bit of a loser-esque character, you kind of respect the guy because he says truthful things that other people are unable to say. So you kind of like him, and you kind of root for him. Because he's still a decent person, but he's cynical, he solves problems by self-sacrificing or making himself into the bad guy. And he solves problems that way, which works a lot of time. But that's because he's sacrificing his own reputation, his own well-being even. And by the middle season, he realized that he has relationship, or he now has friends that actually care about his well-being, the two people that's in the same club as him. So his way of self-sacrificing no longer works. So watching him outgrow his cynical side, as well as how his relationship with two, Yukino and Yugahama, turns out is pretty good. It really shifts during the middle of season 2, but if you want a non-silly, not too much fan service rom-com that you could actually relate to with the main character, then definitely check it out. Number 6 is ReZero. So typically I don't like isekai animes or these alternate world animes, but this one's pretty good. So they really trick you in the first episode. You think it's gonna be one of those fan servicey isekai animes, but people get brutally murdered from the episode 1, and you're shocked into how real this anime is. So this one also really focuses on his Subaru, the main character Subaru's relationship with others like Emilia, Rem Ram, and what's interesting is it really dives into human emotion even in this parallel or alternate world. Because the world itself is pretty unique and well made. Like, you would think the show will focus on the magic side of it or the funky animal monster side of it, but it still really focuses on Subaru and his relationship. And basically, a little bit of spoiler, he kind of has an ability to die, but to come back to real life. But it's not that good because, first of all, he still experiences pain when he dies. And he has to witness the death of his friends multiple times to try to save them. But if you think of it realistically, even if you know that you're going to come back to life, first of all, the pain would suck. And watching your friends die over and over will still give you mental trauma. So it's sometimes a little bit of darker anime. But anyways, the story plotline could get confusing, but they do a really good job. And his efforts to save his friends and to live is really awesome. And definitely give it a shot. A little bit dark. Give it a shot. Number 7 is Silent Voice. So this one is a movie, hour and 20 minutes, but this one's still really good. It's again by Kyoto Animation, so because it's Kyoto Animation, it's gorgeous again. So the main character is Ishida, and when he's young, he bullies a deaf girl, Nishimiya, which is obviously not good. But the main problem is, even though he was the main culprit of bullying, a lot of his classmates and even the teacher kind of were bystanders and a little bit egged him on a little bit. So even though he should be the main culprit, there were definitely other people that should be responsible for the bullying. But when the news comes out that he's bullying, he gets the blame, and then he becomes isolated from all his friends and classmates. So because of that, he goes through mental trauma to the point where in high school, he decides to kill himself. But right before he kills himself, he goes to see Mishimiya to kind of apologize his last time, and that's where the whole movie takes place. And in this show, it realizes how difficult it is to forgive or to not forgive, what past trauma does, and why obviously you shouldn't forgive people that easily for big things like bullying, but why you still have to move on and create new relationship. And forgiving yourself in a way, in a non-naive way, is what the show focuses on, and that sometimes people do deserve a second chance, and you should always try to make up for your past mistakes than to just call it a day in life. But basically, like, the fear of causing harm to other people while you want to make new relationships. So balancing those two things is what the show focuses on. But at the end, it's actually pretty wholesome. So definitely give it a shot. Might make you cry, but gives you a little hope to keep on fighting. It's always better to try to create new relationship. Not naively, but the realization that we do need to look people in the eye to eye. Thanks. So that's the top 7 recommendations from a Japanese native that's popular in Japan but not popular in the US. Please subscribe if you've watched this far. Join the nakama. You check out all my socials in the link below and come back for the next video. Thank you. Bye bye. ありがとうございます。